Our keynote speaker tonight is Todd Yuzuriha. Todd grew up in Portland, graduated from Park Rose High School, attended the Portland Japanese American Community Graduation Banquet in 1978, and earned his MBA from the University of Portland, a Portland kid. He retired as Vice President of Engineering at Logitech. Todd's hobby? Playing the trumpet, as a founding member of the Minidoka Swing Band and the Vancouver Pops Orchestra. Todd and his wife Elaine, of 41 years, have 3 children and 4 grandchildren. Thank you so much, Todd. Welcome.
Thank you, Linda, for the introduction. It's an honor for me today to give the keynote speech on this, the 80th anniversary of the atomic bombings. And I stand here to honor and remember the victims of these tragedies. As Linda mentioned, I'm a native of Portland. I grew up here, I returned here after college. And in fact, my paternal grandfather immigrated to Portland from Hiroshima Prefecture in 1910. And my maternal grandfather immigrated to the Yakima Valley of Washington from Hiroshima in 1911. So in terms of my family history during World War II, my grandparents and parents were sent to Japanese American internment camps. And as Linda mentioned, my wife and I are founding members of the Minidoka Swing Band. So we continue to tell the stories of those injustices through our music and our educational outreach. But my grandparents also left siblings back in Hiroshima, and it is that part of my family history that I focus on today. I reached out to the current governor of Hiroshima Prefecture, Hide Uzaki, who's a fellow Stanford alum, and his advice to me for this speech today was to bring to life the voices of the victims of the atomic bombing. And so in that effort, I reached out to my relatives in Hiroshima, one of who works at the Hiroshima Peace Park as a front desk greeter. How many of you have been to Hiroshima Peace Park? Quite a few. So chances are you might even have met my second cousin, Rumiko Uotani. I reached out to her and other Japanese relatives, and just last month, they actually discovered a letter written by my mother's cousin, Tokiko Okano Yoshimoto. And in 1945, she was 13 years old and 10 miles from the Hypo Center. This is what she wrote. August 6th, 1945. On that day, the sky was strangely quiet, and it was a beautifully clear morning. During the war, there was no summer vacation, so I went to the girls' school as usual. Everyone in the nation worked without rest, and the spirit of strike and do not stop was ingrained in all of us. At 8:15 a.m., when the atomic bomb was dropped, I was in first period class. Suddenly there was a sudden flash, and it was followed by a boom, an earth-splitting explosion that shook the earth like an earthquake, and the windows of our school shattered into pieces. Everyone was sent into the air raid shelters dug into the schoolyard grounds. We all thought that an incendiary bomb had been dropped right onto our schoolyard. Without understanding what was happening, we were all sent home. And on the way home, the sky appeared pitch black with smoke rising continuously. When I got home, my younger brother was by the window, and he said, when he saw the sky flash Pika, he looked outside and saw that intense flash, and he was just wondering, what is that? And when he was wondering that, that's when he heard the boom. He saw a mushroom cloud, he saw a huge red fireball, and the windows of the house shattered. A couple of hours later, my mother returned home, and she told us siblings to go outside, go out to the National Road and see people burnt pitch black with skin hanging down, burnt so badly that they were being loaded by the dozens onto beds into military trucks. So I went out with my siblings to see, and it was unbelievable what I saw. People were burnt so badly that I could hardly recognize them as being human. And deep down in my heart, I thought, couldn't they have done something to escape before being burned so badly? Later I learned it was an atomic bomb that instantly incinerated everything, so there was no time to escape. People were being treated in all sorts of facilities, schools, temples, public halls, and even open squares with straw mats being laid out. My father was a member of the Civil Defense Corps. My mother was a member of the National Women's Association to provide aid. And I also went to a nearby elementary school where people who were victims were being housed. The scene was too horrible to look at. Some people who had died before they could be brought in were being laid out on the ground side by side. Others stood or sat motionless from the pain of their burns. Some others had wooden splinters stuck in their eyes, and many others had glass shards embedded all over their bodies. The place was packed with people, and in those days there was no air conditioning, so the foul stench was spread everywhere. It was just like hell. A few days later, I returned to help, and I cleaned dirty areas, I carried buckets of water, and fanned the injured. Many people had burns that had become infected and filled with maggots. I used chopsticks to pick out the maggots. At the corner of the schoolyard, people were being cremated, and it was truly a horrific and cruel scene. About a week later, my father went back to Hiroshima and took us siblings because he wanted us to see the devastation. And so I saw the streetcar tracks twisted, the streetcars burned out, and horse carcasses left as they were. The city of Hiroshima appeared pitch black as far as the eye could see. And many people thought it would be 30 years before anything would grow back, before grass, trees would grow back. That was a common feeling at that time. But the city of Hiroshima has made a remarkable recovery. Even so, even 60 years after the bombing, that's when this letter was written, people are still suffering and dying of atomic bomb-related illnesses. My father died at 52. Being in the Civil Defense Corps, he had to return to Hiroshima repeatedly to tend to the injured, to the corpses, to the buildings. And today, there are nuclear weapons that are being tested in various parts of the world. And I want to raise my voice from Hiroshima and Nagasaki to call strongly for the abolishment of nuclear weapons. I can only hope that your futures are bright and peaceful. So wrote Tokiko Okano Yoshimoto, a Hiroshima bomb survivor, my mother's cousin, and still alive today at the age of 93. And so, on this day, the 80th anniversary of the atomic bombings, let's remember and honor the victims. Thank you.